think I'm gonna work on security tonight since I just got it fixed, my internet stuff. So I'll probably do that tonight.
Firewall is all good. You already started adding policies or what have you.
That's gonna be tonight. Well, actually, no, that's not gonna be tonight because I don't work tonight. I'm off.
Bro.
Never mind. I'm going to sleep.
Cool. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, Courtney. Same go around, guys. If you guys are watching, you know what we started on Monday with Courtney. You know we're bringing her through the OSI model, bottom up. We're starting from layer 1, going all the way to layer 7. Okay, I'm going to be able to identify it, and the goal of it. Oh, there goes Claude coming in. The goal of it is I want to make this second nature for Courtney so that, and for all you guys, right? Because whenever you guys go into an interview and you're asked about, you know, tell me about the OSI model, how you'll protect it, et cetera, you're able to shoot off the hip and understand how to protect it because you guys know the why of how everything flows throughout the network, just like IB was saying earlier. So with that being said, Court, we're doing it the same way. I want you to verify layer 1, layer 2, and layer 3. Go ahead and on your notepad on your computer, I want you to write down your source and destination. Your source being the Linux PC, your destination being the DHCP server. Your router is your FortiGate firewall. I don't need you, don't worry about knowing about FortiGate or not. That'll be another session, but just know your switch is your layer 2 switch, okay? And I'll let you go ahead and go from there.
Okay. So I know when we had first started, we were checking in on if we're working out from that OSI model and up. We're starting with layer 1, which is the physical. Okay. And dealing with the physical, we're going to start where the computer is.
Okay.
Go ahead and open this up.
I'll bring it all over. I got you. Give me one second.
Okay, cool. Since I have that up.
There you go. All yours. I think you should have control.
Thank you. Okay. And then I went on to open the computer up, starting. And I know with the computer, we have our switch here where the computer is connected with the switch. And I'm going to actually open this up. I know like last time when opening this up, I had to make sure there was connectivity here. So check it.
Why?
Because in order for the computer to have connection to the server, it has to go through the switch. And then also where the switch has the MAC addresses, and it has the MAC address of the computer. So we have to check in to see if the MAC address with the switch is the same as the computer.
Perfect. Let's word that a bit different. I got what you were saying. Let's word that a bit different, right? So if we're looking at the OSI model, right? You were on track. We're checking layer 1, right? Because that's how that data gets passed through, you know, the physical wire, right? We have to make sure that. But just like you were stating, and you stated it correctly. We're gonna clean it up a bit, but you got the point. You got the concept. We're confirming layer 2 because, right? Switches, you know, one of their, you know, 2 of their 3 primary functions is 1, to learn MAC addresses based off the source MAC address off of a frame. Frames are, you know, frames are the PDU that travels through, or the types of data that pass through a switch, and forward those frames, right? Based on their destination, right? And so, you know, you said it absolutely correctly, right? We're only dealing with MAC addresses here at layer 2 on this switch. So yes, we got to confirm that this switch is actually doing both of those functions. It's learning the MAC addresses and it's able to pass traffic. So let's go ahead and do that.
Isn't the third reason dealing with like redundancy? Is that correct? like loop redundancy.
Okay, keep going.
I'm actually asking because I'm really unsure about that one. I just need to clear up on that.
It's all good. It's all good, right? So within that last function, that last major function at layer 2 of a switch, right? It's, you know, it's going to go ahead and prevent layer 2 loops utilizing spanning tree. What that means is, if you guys ever been in a data center or at work or what have you, you see they're not just going to have one connection from one switch or from one router, you know, just one link. They're going to have multiple links. So if we have those redundant links, if we don't have no mechanism in place, we're going to have a loop where that data never gets to its destination. It's going to keep going on and on and on, because those first 2 major functions, where it has to, you know, learn the source MAC address and has to learn its destination. Let's say it doesn't know where it needs to go. It's going to keep broadcasting that traffic between the 2 switches to the point where it's just going to keep going and going and going, and we're just going to have a broadcast storm.
Gotcha.
Right. So what spanning tree does, all it does is just make sure it's one way in and one way out.
Okay.
That's it, and blocks on the rest of the links.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for the clear.
Cool.
All right.
No biggie.
So we want to start from here. We need to see about the IP address. So I'm gonna do.
At layer 2.
This is. What was your question?
So you said we need to check the IP address. Why are we checking the IP address at layer 2? Remember, you have to confirm layer 1 and layer 2 here. So what are we going to check?
The
MAC addresses, right?
yes, by doing the command, and I was just thinking about the command too for this, which is SHIP and
Hey, Courtney, do this for me. Type EN. Going to get you out of this mode.
what did you say as far as doing it for?
Yeah. Type the word enable so you can get to privilege exec mode. There you go. All right. So try that command again. If this is the command you're looking for. There you go.
Okay. Now we see that I remember from here, it's saying that IP is okay. The status is up. This looks a little different from, I remember the last time when we had did this. And I remember it was saying that, trying to remember what the gigabit Ethernet was up, and then the protocol is saying up, and then the last parts are saying that it's down, comparing it to.
Claude, unmute your BlackBerry. Help out Courtney a bit.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, Courtney, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I can't complain. So what you're looking at here is you see you have 3 ports that are clearly in an up status. Okay, so you can actually slide that console output to the side and visually correlate what those ports are actually on and what they correspond to on your topology. So what you can see is you got the Linux server, you got your DHCP server, and then you have your firewall connected on those corresponding ports.
Okay.
Your first status, OSI layer 1, okay?
Mhm.
It's where we have our electrical signals at. So lets us know we got our physical connection, okay? That tells you that as far as that is concerned, you are good to go with it being up. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the protocol. You were talking about MAC addresses earlier. Okay. So this here switch is letting you know that as far as those three connections, the protocol is up. Layer 2, the protocol is up. So that's a good indication that at this point, we may have some MAC addresses that we may have learned. So
Okay.
that's what you want to confirm.
Okay. So you said protocol is dealing with the MAC addresses possibly being learned.
Yep.
And the status is showing that with layer 2, that is up, correct?
Layer 1.
Layer 1 is correct.
Your physical, right? Your physical.
Okay.
Yeah. So what you want to do is you want to look and see, let's say for, what's that, a Linux PC over there?
Yes.
If you have your Linux PC MAC address already written down somewhere on this little note, or have you even looked that far yet?
I haven't looked that far yet.
Okay. So what you can do is take a look and see what the MAC address is on that Linux box. That'll give you an idea of what you're going to be looking for when you start to digging into this switch to see if it's learned it or not. Does it make sense?
Okay. Yeah, I think I remember briefly how to go to that.
Open up that Linux box. Open up a window on that Linux box.
Courtney, I got you. I think it should already be open.
Okay.
There you go. There you go.
So actually, I'm trying to open up, go to applications here, open up my terminal.
Try to do IP space ADDR space show. Yeah, and guys, just to explain to you that error code that you're seeing, it's, you know, this Linux box hasn't had the NetTools package installed on it, so it just has the default old school Linux command IP ADDR show, IP address show, to go ahead and look at the network configuration.
He said, and it's IP config ADR. Oh yeah, ADR. Yes.
So just IP, no config, IP, and then ADDR, and then space, and then show.
Okay, and we could see the you could see here the MAC address.
And if you go to the bottom, and if you go to the putty icon, to the left. Oh. Cool. I'll let you drive. So what are we going to check now, Courtney? Now that we have a MAC address.
You're going to see if that MAC address is up and running on the switch.
How?
By communicating
Is there like a database we can take a look at on the switch? Some type of table, anything?
I know from what we had did before, don't tell me yet.
It's all good. I got you.
I forgot.
It's all good. It's all good. All right. So Courtney, me and you are engineers, right? Let's mind map it, right? So going back on what you said earlier, right? You stated at layer 2, right? MAC addresses are ways of communicating, right? From point A to point B, right?
Yes.
Via a switch. Okay, perfect. So if we know that a switch, working at layer 2, what are they going to go ahead and control, as far as traffic? They're going to control the traffic of MAC addresses, right?
Yes.
Perfect. So with that being said, they should have some type of database on that switch, right? Which is called the MAC address table.
Right. Right.
Okay. So what I want you to do, I want you to type in this command. I want you to type on the switch, show sh, you can hyphenate it, and then MAC, MAC, and then space ADDR. You can either put the command in like that or tab it out, press the tab button, just to see the whole command. There you go. So it's going to show us the MAC address table. So go ahead and click enter. Perfect. All right. So just like Claude stated, we're going to go ahead and look at our MAC address of our PC, right?
Yep. And I remember this
confirm
part.
that it's in our table.
Yeah, and I remember this part, and it is confirmed that it matches up with the VLAN of 10 on the second entry here on the MAC address table.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. So now what we've done, right? We confirmed layer 1, we confirmed layer 2. Perfect. Right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and, again, between our source and our destination, we're going to confirm layer 3. Right? What do you think we're going to do now? You being that engineer.
Okay, so layer 3 is dealing with the IP address, and we have to check on the IP address within the DHCP server.
That's one. What's another IP address we have to check?
The host. I mean the
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So the source, right? So we're going to check the source and the destination, because for this scenario, the source is our Linux PC and our destination is a DHCP server. Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. So go ahead and grab that IP address of the DHCP server. Give me 1 second. Let me bring it on over. There you go. Now have this in full screen mode. So whenever you want to back out of this, take it out of full screen mode and just minimize it. Okay. There you go. So again, this is a Windows PC. I think I know you know how to navigate through a Windows PC. So what are you going to do first to go ahead and confirm the network settings?
I need to go and check on the DHCP server here.
Nope, not yet. Not yet. Remember what you said. You're the engineer. We're checking layer 3 and we're checking those settings first before we check anything else. Right? And so while you're doing that, I'll explain why for everybody, right? So if we are checking, right, the DHCP application on that server, it wouldn't make sense if we don't even have an IP address to check to see if that DHCP program is running. Because DHCP, Claude, correct me if I'm wrong, it works at one of the higher layers. It doesn't work at layer 3.
Correct.
Am I right or am I wrong, Claude?
No, you're correct.
So let's check layer 3, okay? We're gonna confirm that this has an IP address. We're gonna confirm the MAC address, and we're gonna confirm the same thing you just did on the Linux PC, okay? We're gonna confirm that it's being learned on that switch, and you know, it's layer 1, layer 2 is working perfectly, and you know, this does have an IP address, okay? And so, yeah, this is kind of confusing. Let me bring up command prompt for you. There you go. There you go. And I believe the command is going to be ipconfig and then space/all to take a look at the IP address and the MAC address. Oh yeah, that / so ipconfig and then space/all. Oh, just a typo. So ipconfig and then space and then the /all right after it.
Oh, you said /all. Okay. I can hear you just a little bit kind of muffled in the background.
Oh no, it's all good. There you go.
Okay, now we can see where the IP address is here.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and back out.
Let me help you back out of this one.
Okay.
Go. Cool. We have that. Let's pull up our switch. Cool. And I'll let you make that comparison. So what do you see?
So with the it's on the VLAN 20, it's at the bottom. And it's matching up with the address here that we have for the 4th entry here on the MAC address table. So it's matching up there.
Layer 2 is fine. Did we confirm? So now that you checked, right, the MAC address table, and of course, that MAC address from the Windows server is on the switch, what does that tell you about layer 1?
That is connected.
Why?
Because you have both the MAC address and the IP address.
Keep going.
And
is it possible to learn layer 2 before layer 1 is working?
You said, is it possible to learn layer 2 before layer 1?
Mm-hmm. Before layer 1 is working.
No, it has to be, layer 1 has to be connected as well.
Perfect, right? So we need to have a layer 1 presence, a cable plugged in before, right, layer 2, you know, is learned on that switch. So since Courtney, right, and guys, I hope you see this, you know, she's using her analytical skills and what have you as an engineer. Since layer 2 is learned on that switch, cool. Layer 1 is already banged out. We're good. We can go ahead and move to the next layer. We can go ahead and move to layer 3. So now we're going to go ahead and check connectivity between the source and the destination, that Linux PC and the DHCP server. So, for you being an engineer, I'm gonna let you drive. Now we're gonna go to the 2 hosts and ping both of them. So we have the IP address of the DHCP server, 10.10.20.25. Do you remember the IP address of the Linux server? I mean Linux PC.
It's PC. I don't. I'm gonna have to go back to it.
No biggie, no biggie. Go ahead and pull that bad boy back up. Cool. Cool. So we have a 10.10.10.26, you know, in a /24 subnet, right? So we can tell, right? They're in 2 different networks, right? You know, and of course in the background, you guys haven't seen us set it up in 2 different networks on purpose. So with that being said, we have our source and our destination. Courtney, what I want you to do as the engineer is go ahead and see if you can ping the DHCP server from that Linux PC.
And there's connection between that one. And it's showing. Trying to bring this over just a bit. And it also has connection as well from the Linux.
Perfect, perfect.
So
Okay.
there's connections
Perfect.
on both ends.
Perfect. So we have connectivity. Everything should be working. So, Courtney, you're all good. You got the network going, but we still have more layers, right, to assess. Okay.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna mess up your lab. Hope you're okay with that, but I'm gonna just do it anyway. Anybody has any questions so far? You guys need to take a break, take a 5-minute breather, because after this, we're gonna start digging into the weeds and start having fun.
Okay.
Any questions? B, Angela, IB, Jose, everybody's all good?
So
I'm good on my
Courtney,
end.
Courtney.
Mhm.
So layer 1, when you hear layer 1, what do you think? What comes to mind?
Of wires.
Okay, connection oriented, physical connections. Okay.
Mhm.
When you hear layer 2, what do you think?
First thing that pops up is Mac.
Okay, Max, you may want to start thinking VLAN, stuff like that. Okay.
Okay.
So just keep that in mind. Layer 1, you're talking about physical connection, you're talking about voltages. You're talking about little bits of voltages going across the wire. Okay. Layer 2, you talking about those MAC addresses. You're talking about VLANs. Okay. So just keep that in mind.
Okay. So when what you're doing now, David, as far as like you're manipulating the lab, how does that change? Does that change anything with the first 3 layers?
It does. And you're gonna see how it affects it, right? You know, whether you go, you know, starting from the bottom, right? You know, starting at layer 1 to all the way up to layer 7, or if, you know, of course, how, you know, an endpoint or a host or a source or destination will start. It's gonna start at layer 7 and then envelope it into the different layers. You're gonna see how either way it goes, they all work with each other, and everything has to be working for stuff to flow, for traffic to flow, like IB was saying earlier. So what I'm gonna do is, Angela, I'm going to your favorite. We're gonna start looking at Wireshark captures.
Yay! I talk about it all the time.
So we're gonna do that. 1 second. Okay.
I'm glad we're going through this because I think I told you I only took one networking class, which was almost a year ago, and so it's a lot of information that I'm learning from this session.
That is good.
Glad you learned something. Definitely.
Yeah, because like I was saying, everyone, this is a whole totally different language. You know, it's so much. You know, when you're studying for your exam, you get to see a lot of the stuff in the book, but actually going through the labs is really important.
Absolutely. And then just like being able to see it, because you have to think it's a different ball game. So you almost have to put yourself in the network and just understand, you know, what's going on.
Absolutely. Right. Absolutely.
We have our pings going. And guys, I hope you can see this. You know, I'm capturing on this interface on gigabit 0/1. So I'm seeing all that traffic on that link from the DHCP server. Okay, just did a ping to the FortiGate firewall, so that's all good. We got replies, we got a request from our source, and we got a reply from our destination. So what I'm gonna do, right, and manipulate is I'm gonna disable DHCP from transmitting on our firewall or our gateway. But Claude, I may need some of your help here. It's been a minute since I manipulated policies. But let me. Cool. Now we are going to go to our policies. All right, so now we are going to enable ICMP, TCP, HTTP. Nope. In fact, I could just enable this. Cool. So Claude, I'm only enabling ICMP.
Yeah, we're just pinging. Yeah, we're just pinging.
Yep, that's it. So good measure.
Okay. Courtney, let me ask you this.
Mhm.
Do you know what a VLAN is?
Just refresh. I need, yeah, I was gonna ask you, can you give me a refreshment of it?
Okay, picture this. A VLAN is nothing more than segmentation. Okay. A VLAN is nothing but a broadcast domain. Okay. On a broadcast domain, everybody's listening to the same thing. Everybody's speaking the same language. Okay.
Okay.
So picture your neighborhood. If you live in a little cul-de-sac and you go out on your porch and you holler, wake up world, your
Mhm.
neighbors hear you, okay, in that cul-de-sac. Now, you go down the road and cross over into another cul-de-sac, they don't hear you,
Mhm.
okay? They're in a totally different broadcast domain,
Right.
okay? But if somebody over there hollers,
They're able to
th-
connect with them.
they can hear that,
Right.
okay? So just think about VLANs. Like I said, they're segmentation of a given network. Okay, so when you start looking at the MAC address tables, those little pieces of information that you may see as far as a port being assigned to a given VLAN, uh, sometimes that can hinder your communication. You follow me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just
That
going
was
to
a,
leave those.
yeah, that was a good example.
Okay, cool. So I'm just going to lead you with that little tidbit piece of information because I don't know how diabolical Dave is going to get in jacking up your network here.
You make it sound so bad.
But
Jeez.
like I said, you just remember your little things. Your MAC address, your layer one. What's happening at layer one? What's happening at layer two? Like I heard him say earlier, layer two is where your frames is moving around at. Okay. Then you got your layer three. What's happening at layer three?
That's where the IP address.
Right. That's where your
There
IP
we go.
lives. That's where your IP lives. Okay. So to touch on something he said earlier, if you have good layer three, what does that mean for layer one and layer two? Everything that's before that, that precedes that.
That they're all connected.
Exactly.
Communicating with each
Exactly.
other.
Exactly. But always take the approach of the bottom up. Start with layer one, hit layer two, hit layer three. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. That's what we're here for.
Perfect. So guys, here's what I'm gonna do. Okay. Messed up some things, right? And I want to confirm that my Linux PC is still able to get an IP address. Okay. Again, my FortiGate, my firewall, I got it set up, has my router. Okay. So we manipulated some rules. We only enabled ICMP. Brian, what layer does ICMP lay at? Can you tell me? Probably Googling now.
No, he better know what all those Elios conversations we had this afternoon.
Exactly. Jose, my dog. What's up?
Hey, my bad. My phone's in my pocket. It's layer 3.
Oh yeah.
Layer 3.
How long it took you to Google that, huh? Yeah.
No, it was in my pocket.
No, I'm joking, bro. I'm joking. Now, so it stays at layer 3, right? So I'm only enabling, I'm stopping at layer 3 for my firewall, okay? So that being said, Courtney, what do you think is going to happen if my Linux PC is going to, tries to request a IP address from the DHCP server?
since you already manipulated some things, and you were saying that, well, currently in the stage right now, they're able to talk to one another.
Mm-hmm.
And since we had went over before to see about the IP addresses, the MAC addresses, and as well as the physical layer, they are able to communicate with the DHC. The Linux is able to communicate with the DHC server.
Right. Okay. So
I feel like you're trying to get me to say something else. I know there's probably a little piece missing.
Nope. You're rolling. You're keep, you know, and I love the track that you're on. Keep staying with the OSI model. So, like you stated, we checked connectivity back then. It was all good. Layer 3 worked or what have you. We didn't check the upper layers though, right?
Right.
But we kind of did, because this was able to get an IP address from the DHCP server, and the protocol DHCP lives at layer 7.
The application, right?
If I only enabled something at layer 3 on the firewall, do you think this PC is going to be able to get a IP address?
Said enabled it on the firewall.
Mm-hmm. Meaning I only got the protocol layer, you know, I only got pings enabled on the firewall. Keep it simple. And again, this is a trick question.
It's all good. I know you're gonna ask me why. Gotta come up with my explanation. Just require me to think.
Nah, we're all engineers. That's what we got to do.
So
and guys, while Courtney's thinking, Angela, what do you think?
You know what? I was actually going to ask you to repeat the question.
Okay, no, all good. I'll repeat it.
Please.
I'll repeat it. All good. So, right? So I manipulated the lab, right? And our FortiGate, which is acting as our router, okay? Router is operating at layer 3, but of course it's doing some other things as well, you know, protecting at different layers in the OSI model. I, within the policies the rule set on the FortiGate, stated I only want to allow layer 3 traffic, more particularly pings, only throughout the firewall. Nothing else. That being said, should my PC be able to get an IP address from the DHCP server? Why and why not?
So you're only allowing traffic within the firewall?
I'm only allowing pings throughout the firewall.
Throughout
pings
the firewall.
Operate at layer 3, like Brian said.
I was going to take a stab at it. I would say no. Only because dealing with because you enabled the pinging is blocking out with communicating to it's blocking out the communication to other what was it, the layers, or was it
Yep, that's what I'm looking for. That's it.
DHCP is layer 7.
That's it.
7. Okay.
That's it. Exactly.
So it's playing a part as far as like the app. Would it still be considered as the application layer?
Yep, exactly. DHCP, HTTP, HTTPS, SSH, all of those operate at the application layer, at layer 7.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you go into details about that a little bit, as far as like DHCP operating on layer 7?
Yeah, sure. So, and Claude, I may need your help here, but right, DHCP, right? It's an application, right? It's an application. It's a program that provides a service to clients, right? Same thing like HTTP. It's providing a service to us as humans, right? So what it is, it's a protocol that's used, a standard, to go ahead and to interact between us and the behind the scenes work on the wire. Okay.
That makes sense. Once you said application, I'm like, all right, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's all good.
Thank you.
Good. So, and I'm going to dig a little bit deeper, give you guys a little nugget, right?
Okay.
So since, right, let's go back to, Courtney being the engineer. She said something great. She said, since, and along the lines of what Brian said, right? ICMP operates at layer 3, right? Specifically for layer 3. With DHCP operating at layer, 7, a lot of these different applications that operate at layer 7, they need, we need to assign them, ports or what have you, to go ahead and mitigate, all right, what are we going to use to make sure that it can go from point A to point B? Are we going to make sure that, that it got there, or we're going to make sure we're just going to go ahead and just throw a Hail Mary as far as our traffic, right? And what that tells you, it's either TCP or UDP, right? UDP being connectionless and TCP being connection oriented, basically meaning, hey, if I send this traffic, I need you to let me know that you got it, okay? So UDP is basically a cash app. Hey, I'm gonna send it. Hey, it's up to you if you got it. You know what I mean? So that's how we're gonna roll it, okay? DHCP, Claude and IB, keep me honest here. It's been a minute. DHCP operates utilizing UDP, port 67 and 69. Am I off?
No, you right.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's right.
So since, right, me and Courtney being the engineers and I engineered the firewall to only enable layer 3, Angela, I'm going to ask you, should this PC be able to get an IP address?
No, because it's only you can only get traffic on layer 3 on the network layer.
Right. Cool. Guys, I'm sticking with Angela here. So, Angela, go ahead and unmute.
What was that question
you're
again?
The engineer on the spot now.
What was that question again that you had asked, Angela?
Yeah, so I asked her if, since we went ahead and now we only enabled ICMP, and after my explanation as far as DHCP and layer 7 or what have you, some of the upper layers, now with all that being known, should I be able to get an IP address?
Okay.
Looks like I got an IP address.
Okay, so okay, can you explain, like, if you're only able to allow, you said allow traffic on the layer 3, how are we now able to receive an IP address?
Dig in. Let's dig in. So now we're going to jump to some Wireshark captures, okay?
Okay.
And minimize this. That's where we're at. Oh. Okay, perfect. All right, so first things first, right? Guys, Wireshark can be intimidating. I know when I first looked at it years ago, I was like, dude, what is this? You know, I'm confused, right? But you have to know what you're looking for, right? And this is why, you know, this is where all you guys that are learning, you know, Network Plus, CCNA, A+, or what have you, all this is going to come together, right? So if we're looking at the Wireshark, right, we pick a packet that was captured, right? It's going to tell us, it's going to tell us, hey, layer 1, right? That's right here. This is everything layer 1, okay? And Claude and IB, keep me honest here, okay? If I, mix something up. Here's our layer 2, right? Courtney, this looks familiar, right? We have our MAC addresses, correct? So we have our MAC addresses there, right? That's layer 2. Now we're going to go ahead and go to layer 3. We have our IP addresses, and it's going to show us, in detail, right? And this is the powerful piece of Wireshark. It's going to tell us in detail, what's in that, what's in that packet and what's traveling throughout that wire. Okay, those ones and zeros. So it tells us all the values there, a few things here and there, like source IP address, nation address, what have you, since it is a broadcast, right? Tells us, of course, right, layer 4, right? It tells us what it's using. It's using UDP, right? And it also tells us, of course, because of course, something you're not going to see, and Claude, keep me honest here. Within a packet capture, you're not going to see layers, you're not always going to see layers 5 and 6 shown here.
No.
You're not going to see it, okay, guys? You're not going to see it. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, jump to 7. Okay? So that's what you guys are going to see, right? So we now have layer 4 that's showing us right here, and then our application layer, which is our application that we're using, which is Dhcp. It's going to show us the details within it, okay? And so what I'm trying to do, right, I'm trying to understand, okay, what's my source and destination, are, our packets flowing through, right? You guys asked, why we only enabled, ICMP? Why are packets still able to go through, right? A couple of things that could have happened, but again, the focus is not, firewalling tonight. I want you guys to get through the OSI model, okay? So I want you guys to understand, whenever you guys being engineers, or, whether it be on the security side, cybersecurity side, or the network engineering side, as long as A, you know what you're looking for, and B, you know what you're looking at, this is not really intimidating at all. Okay?
Okay.
So. So Claude, let's go back to the firewall. Let's manipulate this. See if we can manipulate no other type of applications coming through. Where is it? There we go. All right. Everyone's a mirror. Cool. Claude, you know what?
I'm listening.
I wonder if, since the source and destination, those addresses, those objects within the, and guys, don't worry about this. This is just high level stuff. But you feel free to follow along. The objects within those different VLANs
Already been identified.
Yeah, and they allowed it even before it touched the service. I know you got more experience with firewalls than me.
It shouldn't have.
Shouldn't have, right?
Yeah, the service, if you're clearly defining a specific service to pass through there, then nothing else should come through.
And what do you mean by that as far as a certain service? Like the VLANs coming through?
So with firewalls, and you can actually get creative with this with even with routers too. But with firewalls, you create what's known as these various objects, and these objects are defining certain things. Like for example, when I was talking to you earlier in reference to the cul-de-sacs, you being in the cul-de-sac. All right, so let's just say this. I'm in a firewall and I create an object and name it Courtney's cul-de-sac. Okay. Within that object, it has the information about you and the neighbors that live next to you in that cul-de-sac. You follow me?
Yes.
I turn around and I create another object and call it Angela's cul-de-sac. Okay. So that's going to have the information for Angela and all her neighbors down the block, in that cul-de-sac. Now, if I decide in that same firewall to prevent or either allow a given service between the two of those objects, that service can be granted or taken away. So for example, let's just say if I was going to that firewall and say, I want to deny ICMP, right? Which is nothing more than a ping, okay? And a reply back. I want to deny ICMP between objects Courtney's cul-de-sac and Angela's cul-de-sac.
Okay.
Okay, so that means that basically you and your neighbors can't talk to Angela and her neighbors.
Right.
Okay, and vice versa. And that service could be DHCP. That service could be accessing HTTP. That service could be accessing HTTP secure. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's to give you a little rundown of what he meant by services.
Okay. Thank you.
Does that make sense, Angela?
Absolutely. So when you say, so you have the objects and then you create rules for those objects, or how does
you can?
Okay.
You can create rules, and see, the thing is, the objects, because see, you can do it this way. You can actually define you and your 4 neighbors individually, okay, and have them as sole standalone, entities, for the lack of a better term. And the same thing in Courtney's cul-de-sac. I can have her defined as her and 3 of her neighbors. So I can have 8 different objects, right? Or I can create one object that encompasses the 4 of y'all in her cul-de-sac and the 4 of y'all in Angela's cul-de-sac.
Gotcha.
Which would make things a lot more efficient, okay, and save a lot of time. But there may be reasons that you may have to actually break out individual stuff. You know what I mean? So, Angela may have a neighbor in her cul-de-sac that might be a stalker. Okay. So that person doesn't need to be talking to Courtney, or maybe if she has another female neighbor over there in her cul-de-sac. You follow me?
Right.
So I may have to create a specific object where I can remove that specific neighbor out of that group objects. That makes sense. But like I said, I don't want to get too deep into the whole firewall situation. But you guys going into cybersecurity, this will be something that you definitely will become familiar with. Definitely.
How, and hopefully this makes sense, how does objects relate to VLANs?
So object is nothing more. An object is nothing more than a grouping or
Uh-huh.
categorizing something differently.
Mhm.
Okay.
So the thing is, when in the real world, when you look at an actual firewall, you may have hundreds of objects, hundreds or even thousands of objects. And if you're
Mhm.
working with them every day, it's no big deal. But let's just say you coming in brand new to the team
Mhm.
and you seeing this for your first time, and you're like, what in the hell is all of this? Okay. Now, you can sit there and have all these IP addresses, 10.10.10. Whatever, 10.10.10. And just
Mhm.
have, if you ever looked at a BGP table and just seen like IP addresses that go on for days, that stuff can look confusing.
Mhm.
And it's almost like you got to sit there and go through with a fine-tooth comb if you want to look for something specific that you need to make some rules on specifically. Objects allow you to put a nice little label
Mhm.
on something so they'll stand out for you.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Isn't
So
that where, sorry, I didn't mean to cut
no,
you
no,
off.
go ahead. Isn't it weird? What? Go ahead.
Isn't that where you said as far as it being it's more so being classified, right?
Mm-hmm.
Into
Mhm.
having different privileges and having different permissions based on the object and how you set it in the classification list. Doesn't that play a part as far as like using a SIM tool?
It does. It does. It does. It does. But like I said, just to get back to and it sounds like I can hear it, David. Brian, this you may have to step up on the cybersecurity forum pretty soon and start having these discussions here with the cyber individuals. But like I said, the objects is nothing more than putting a nice identifiable label and grouping of individual, and like I used the example of neighbors. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Little girl gotta go poop, so she just want to give me the heads up. Yeah, that's my little princess right there. She about to bug out this here Friday night. But like I said, those four neighbors on in Courtney's cul-de-sac and those four neighbors in Angela's cul-de-sac, they were grouped together and given one little nice name so that they could be identified.
Mhm.
That's what grouping is, and it makes it easier. You can customize groupings as you want. You can even customize and group services. Okay, so
That's
you can group and deny and allow groups of services within the network as well.
all right. So when we and I know this, I know I got a lot of questions. So as far as like when we relate this,
Brain girl.
when we relate this to AWS cloud,
Okay,
would this be like creating an IAM group
it could be.
or a resource group?
It could be. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
So,
Oh,
and
you're a
let
cloud
me bring
person?
my little.
I don't have a lot of cloud experience. I did get an offer from PwC, and I believe I'll be working on the cloud and digital team.
Yeah.
If I do decide to go with them, and I do have AWS CCP, and I've just been like thinking that I want to continue to move forward with the cloud certifications.
Yeah.
And I also like in my studies, I didn't have a choice, but pretty much put the carriage before the horse, because I learned a little bit of cloud before I actually even touched network.
Yeah.
So, but when I'm like trying to wrap my head around the concept of objects and then creating these groups, and like in AWS, they call them tags to like identify.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, is this the same?
It's coming together, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, all this talk about objects kind of like brought me back to an object-oriented programming class that I took.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds really similar to
Yeah.
what the firewall's doing right now.
Yep. Hey, Dave, I'm sorry to hijack that, man.
Oh, no, dude, please. You good. This is good. So, and I hope that makes sense. I know I know we went off the rails, you know, but that was a good piece, right? And objects, you know, I like cereal, guys, right? I think everybody knows I'm a kid at heart. I eat a lot of cereal, right? To make things easy for objects, right? They're just tools, right? We have our cereal, right? That's an object in our kitchen. We have spoons. That's an object in our kitchen. We have bowls. That's an object in our kitchen. We have forks. We have an object. That's an object in our kitchen, right? For the folks that have kids, right? We're going to allow certain objects to be able, you know, to enable somebody to eat cereal, right? But you're not going to enable your kids to eat forks with cereal, right? Might mess up their mouth. So we're only going to allow certain objects, you know, to be used to perform a function. That's literally it. The theory about objects within, you know, a firewall, server, what have you. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yes.
Cool. Right. Let's see. I can get an IP address now. Off. See if I get an IP address. So I either get an IP address, even though I am blocking UDP. That's odd. Oh, let me do this. At that application. All right, so now we're denying UDP, all UDP, and DHCP. Cool. Now, that. See if I got an IP address. And I still got an IP address. Jesus. All right. Well, course. What else do you think we need to block?
I'm sitting here wondering, that topology has a DHCP Windows server on there, right? At the top of the screen. Has that been enabled? Is that turned on?
Yeah, it's turned off. That's what's handing out the IP addresses.
Okay. So that should explain where your address is coming from. Are you able to check the binding on that server?
Yeah, let me check that.
To confirm that it was that what was issued, whatever the Linux has.
Yeah. Check that. Oh, it's not even on the right screen. Let me bring that over, guys. Cool. Take a look. Yeah, that's binded.
26. So that's where it came from.
That's where it came from. Absolutely. Let's go ahead.
So that answers the question why we know we haven't why we have an IP on the Linux box.
Let's take a look even further. Let's take a look at the logs.
Now, this could be a whole nother lab scenario for, you know, those guys start wanting to step into DHCP and ARP inspection.
Yeah.
You start getting into those trusted ports and, you know, untrusted ports with multiple DHCP servers and, you know, rogue servers and stuff like that.
That's the lab. That is a lab. That's a lab, boy.
Yeah.
Let's check that here. All I wonder. Take a look at our Wireshark Capture again.
Yeah, look and see if you got any 10.26s in Wireshark coming from the source. And what's the address on the Linux server that it picked up?
Say again.
What's the address on the let me see, it's 10.26 that was issued, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what's the DHCP server address? What was that? You remember off the top of your
That
head?
was .20.25.
Okay.
Perfect.
Source. Gen 26 requested.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. UDP is still being passed through, and again, that might just be, virtualization software just being buggy. But guys, yeah, basically, right? That's just going over. We're just diving into the weeds of the OSI model, but I won't do all that because that'll be a whole nother session. But guys, did all of this make sense as far as the OSI model and going through it and how it flows and how it works throughout the network?
Yes.
Cool. Do you think we need to have another session like this just so we can, sink in or what have you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
I definitely want to just keep practicing it. And I know you had sent me some of the filings to bring this up actually on my computer. So with the same one that we were working on with today, I want to see if I can go through it and just practice with the layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, and just get comfortable enough where I can just know it off the back of my hand. Like I have been telling you, I just want to keep practicing.
Cool. Sounds good. Guys, any other questions? Everybody's good? Everybody's ready for the weekend?
Hey, Courtney, when you get a chance, let me check and make sure that this is actually in here. Yeah, she off the chain tonight. If you get a chance, do a search in the growth and network engineering group, or I should say room in the Slack, and do a search on the word PlayStation. Okay. And what I did was I went through a walkthrough of connecting a PlayStation up to my gear here, right? Going through the same exact process that Dave just walked you through.
Okay.
Checking for connection, checking for MAC addresses, okay, all the way until you get that DHCP and you get that IP.
Okay.
So what that should do is it should just reiterate in your mind, the layer 1, this is what you're looking for. The layer 2, this is what you're looking for. Layer 3, and and like I said, the pictures along the way, as far as what those screen outputs look like.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, just go ahead and go into that growth and networking and search the word PlayStation.
Yeah. Okay.
And you should see a Word document in there.
Cool. All right. We're good to go. Guys, any other questions? All good? Everybody's at peace?
This was good here. This definitely was good.
It was good. It was a good one.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, I'll go ahead and end it here. I'll post a recording shortly. And guys, we start back Wednesday. And of course, you guys still have that project that I posted in the CCNA question of the day building a network and what have you. And again, the contest still stands. Whoever, has it right, all good to go before the second week, that Friday of February, that second week of February, then you get 20 labs. First place gets 20 labs, second place gets 10 labs, third place gets 5 labs. So all good.
I
All
did
right.
have a question.
Yeah.
I do want to either get Networking Plus or CCNA. Which one do you all normally recommend to get? I know both of them are different because one goes into depth.
If you want to ease into it, and Dave will tell you, Dave will confirm it because he's actually been, I believe you've been through both, but if you want to ease into it, Network Plus.
Okay.
If you want to jump straight into the fire, go with your CCNA.
Sometimes I like jumping into the fire. Just to see.
There we go.
I got, pressure. I told David, I was like, pressure make diamonds,
There we go. There we go. Claude, I like her, Claude. I like her. Throw her into an outage. She gonna come back. The network gonna be up, baby.
Got it right.
All right.
Mindset.
All right. Nah, but
Yeah.
I think I went through both. That's correct. I decided not to go with Network Plus. Here's the reason why. I believe in information overload. And at the time where I wanted to jump into, network engineering and on that side of the house, it was, whenever I was studying for my Network Plus, it was legit a Bible of, when the first computer was created all the way to now. I didn't need all that.
Yeah.
That's a bit much. That's a bit much, I already got ADHD. I don't think everything else is going to help. Right. So I went ahead and went with CCNA. CCNA, I was able, great instructor on Udemy, Neil Anderson, made things simple, kept it simple. And actually, in what I'm learning, right, a lot of these entry-level certifications for that technology, CCNA is not an entry-level certification, but it being an entry-level certification just for networking, it eases you in to, hey, this is a computer, this is an IP address, this is a MAC address, yada, yada, yada. And doing those labs, having somebody explain to you, that worked better for me rather than Network Plus.
Okay.
A lot of times, because I worked for, a government section whenever I was at Cisco, where we had to get our Network Plus and Security Plus. Sometimes I see in those places that's where that's needed just for compliance. But to each its own. If you think you need a lot of information, you need to know what's in the background, go for the Network Plus. If you feel like you learn quick and you'll deal with the details later, but you just want to get the basics down in a consumable manner, CCNA. But that's just my opinion.
Okay. Thanks for the feedback.
I agree with David too. I went through all the material for the Network Plus too. And honestly, it's just a lot of, they talk about a lot of topics, but they don't go deep into none of them. That makes sense. And there's also, you will learn like what is like OSPF, but I don't think you ever configure or touch OFPS at all, or spanning tree, stuff like that. Honestly, I don't think it's that worth it. So just jump into the fire, like how Angela said. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for the feedback.
And Courtney, we always here, so whenever you're ready.
We got you.
I definitely feel that.
Well, not Brian. Not Brian. Brian ain't got
Oh,
Shut up,
come on.
shut up, baby.
Come
Shut
on.
up, shut up.
Oh, dang.
Brian got 30 subnets in his house. I'm just trying to understand for what.
See, look, man, God, don't tell him nothing else.
I ain't had to tell him nothing. He know exactly what's going on.
Hey, look, see, this is my business over here.
Brian came in a session like, wait, let me explain.
Man, look here, that was a little rough for me.
But yeah, but like I said, Courtney, yeah, we here. You know, I'm sure you've seen the chatter going back and forth in the middle of the day, night, whatever. You know, snapshot. You know me, I throw snapshots from my gear from. You know, I'm trying to answer somebody's question. You know, easily. I'm easily putting snapshots up on somebody to give them a visual of what it is that they're trying to conceptualize. You know,
Right.
so yeah, whenever you're ready, just say something.
Okay. Will do.
Thank you guys again. I really quickly, I like when it's, I'm gonna say it, it's nice to have Black allies, Black male allies, being a woman or, you know, trying to get into the field. And it does seem like it just feels like so much support and walkthrough. And, you know, even when it's not said the nicest, it like really, I feel like it's going to really prepare me for when I go out into these interviews or go out to these jobs. So thank you guys again for taking time out to do this.
Oh yeah, you know how we get with the interviews. So
Absolutely. And thank you, Courtney, for being here and walking through this.
Thank you. I appreciate everyone coming in and definitely walking me through this. And I know it's a journey for everyone, and we still got more work to do as we go on.
Yeah, Angela, Courtney's been with us for a little while. She's just been on the quiet side. But yeah, she's been with this group for a while, so she's seen the behaviors of us, you know, on the forums. And I know if she wants to admit it or not, I know she's probably peeped some of the videos, you know, after the fact, and said, "Damn, they getting in his ass right now. You know what's going on over there." You know.
That's why I said I'd rather have full honesty.
Yeah.
And mess up right now until you know you get into that situation and you're trying to figure out things, but you know you can reflect back onto what we learned and what was told when we're doing our lives. I'd rather have that.
This is the form for it. Yep.
Yeah.
That's it.
And you will love how Cloud displayed its spanning tree. I'll never forget that lesson. it was saying like, oh yeah, there's a big dog with the highest BPDU. And I'm like, okay, all right, I got it.
Yeah, I don't get me wrong. You know, there are technical terms, and I probably should use them more often. But when I'm trying to connect with you guys, I'm using layman's terms.
Okay.
You know, but sometimes, you know, when you're in the interviews, you got to use the industry term. You know, that's what they like to hear. You know, but you know, when we hear amongst ourselves, I'm going to use. I'm trying to connect with y'all guys. You know, when I speak, and you know, like I said, you heard me say it when I was talking about using the cul-de-sacs. And no, that's just me using layman's terms that you relate to.
Right.
You know, and then later on when you read in the textbooks with the fancy words in it, you know, you could put it together a lot easier at that point.
Right.
You know, yeah.
Got it.
Oh yeah. So yeah, folks, that's again, you guys just explained the vision of why we created this group. And I'll end out with this. Yeah, we created it just because, again, we wanted to add value. We saw too many people. You know, of course, the theory now is, you know, apply anyway, right? But, you know, a lot of people that apply anyway for a job don't know what they're doing. They're listening to all these podcasts, they're listening to all these Twitter spaces and what have you, but nobody's actually showing them the craft, right? Even if you're paying for a service, you're still not learning the craft because nobody's taking the time out to understand how you learn, right? And so, you know, me and Claude, we came together. You know, Claude was throwing rocks at ducks in the pond. He was missing every time, but you know, we were just thinking.
I got a lot of free time. I got a lot of free time.
He got a lot. But we were thinking, how can we make an impact, you know, in a big way, right, to the IT community? And we saw that, what if we show them the ropes and show them what we've been through, you know, interviews, configuration, understanding the technology, right? And you guys are gonna see, you know, me and Claude, we play the good cop, bad cop. You know, he's gonna break you guys down he's gonna show you guys the layman's terms. I'm gonna show you guys the technical terms. It's on purpose every time, right? Because when Angela, right, or Jose hops into an interview, you can A, talk technical, and B, you know, talk technical from a low level, and then B, talk, you know, technical from a high level, from how you interpret it, right? To the point to where you can operate anywhere, right? And that's our goal. That's our goal. With that being said, guys, have a great weekend, and I will see you next Wednesday.
Thank you so
Have a
much.
good weekend. Bye-bye.
You know,
You guys.
enjoy your weekend, man.
Everybody have a nice one.
Take it easy. Zamir, what's going on, man?
What's going on? I'm here. I forgot a little bit, and I got distracted. And I was like, wait, let me just. I said, wait, yeah.